Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago, Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar defended law enforcement officers amid public outcry over the manslaughter charge against Kaya Sealy in the Joshua Samaru case, telling the Trinidad Express that people only sleep peaceably because rough men stand ready to do violence on their behalf. That is the woman's response. The leader of our nation, that is how she responded to the videos outside, including myself, who are crying out and calling for justice for both Kaya Sealy and Joshua and the deceased Joshua Samaru. That's what our Prime Minister came out and said. You could imagine if Rowley said that, the PNM would have been calling him dictator, and rightfully so. She's acting just like Rowley. Since she won the elections, it's just that it's getting worse now, much worse. This is not the Kamla of the past, I can tell you that for sure. This is not the Kamla of the past. I don't know if it's because of age, I don't know what is going on with this woman, but this is not the Kamla that we voted for back in 2010 and performed exceptionally well during her first term in office. I don't know who is this woman, but you see, a lot of the times it's because of the people that you have in your inner circle. And she chose a lot of people that I was concerned about from even before she won the elections. These are radical people. These are not people that were even part of the UNC all the years. You chose them to become your closest allies. Evil people. I want to say, the report says, this defense comes as protesters call for the resignation of Police Commissioner Alistair Guevara, while other leaders continue to demand mandatory body cameras to ensure police accountability. I will add, we shouldn't just be calling for Commissioner Police Alistair Guevara to resign. We want Roger Alexander to resign as well. Enough is enough. 1 minute you're looking as though you're improving, and then these type of things happen, and we are not hearing from you. We are not hearing you, and we are not hearing or seeing you showing any sort of empathy for law-abiding citizens like ourselves who are crying out and saying, we are not going to stand for any more extrajudicial killings. Everyone saw the video, and you and your Prime Minister and the Commissioner of Police, we want the DPP to resign as well. These individuals are trying to tell us that our eyes are not seeing what we saw in that video. The first bullet that was shot, the first gunshot was from the back window and it exited through the front. Anyone that looks at the original video, not that zoomed in edited version, look at the original video and you will see that as soon as the gunshot was fired, it hit the back glass and it exited. It caused a crack in the front glass. You want us to believe that she had somewhat kind of superpowers, that when she was firing at the police and she hit that back glass, somehow or the other it backfired onto the front glass as well. That is what the TTPS and the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago is trying to tell us, that we should just trust and believe in the wonderful police service. Something is wrong with you, madam. Something is wrong with you. You need, if you are going through some kind of medical condition, resign, just like how Rowley resigned, and let someone else in the political party, not any one of them in your inner circle. Like, I don't trust any of them in your inner circle. Let somebody else, right, in the UNC become the Prime Minister. Because make sure that have internal elections so that somebody could become legitimately the leader, the political leader, right? Or resign from both positions, and most likely, because there's no actual political leader of the party either, the president will be able to therefore choose whom she pleases to be able to become the next Prime Minister. Because you're doing a horrible job right now, Prime Minister Kamla. I ain't lying to tell you. I commended you so many times for when you're doing good. When you're standing with America and the war against narco-terrorism, I commend you for that. When the CARICOM leaders were bullying you, I stood in solidarity with you. I will always give credit when credit is due. I'm not going to be like the opposers, like Marshall Walker and others who will always oppose you no matter what. I will still, in spite of this, give you credit or give your administration credit when you're doing good. But when you're doing evil like this, I'm going to call you out as well. And I made that promise on April of 29th last year, 2025. I said I will hold the government accountable when they're doing nonsense, when they're going astray. My response, in addition to what I just said here, Kamla was doing great, just like what I said actually. Kamla was doing great when she was supporting America's war against narco-terrorism. But these cases of extrajudicial killings locally cannot be justified, Madam Prime Minister. We need police officers to abide by TNT's laws while enforcing the law. I'm telling you, we need a significant police reform. Significant even when it pertains to the training. They cannot continue to believe when they exit that training that they are gods unto themselves and that they can break the laws, they can break the traffic laws, they can speed, they can drive recklessly, endangering the lives of everyone else. They can be using obscene language in public, right? They can be parking illegally to go and buy roti and go and use the ATM and buy things in the drugstore. And you're charging everybody else. That double standard, that sort of hypocrisy needs to stop. You, Madam Prime Minister, are overshadowing all the good policies being implemented by your regime. With taxes, fees, fines, and now unconditional support for a very corrupt TTPS. That's what you are doing. You're destroying this party. Is that your intention, Madam Prime Minister? Is it your intention to destroy the UNC because you know that definitely you cannot, you reach a stage where you're barely governing right now. You don't really look healthy at all. That's the sad reality. I don't like to call things upon people, but you do not look healthy at all. Right? So you know for a fact that in 2030, you will no longer be the leader of the UNC, and you know you will not be able to become the Prime Minister again in 2030. So are you sabotaging your own party? Is that what is actually taking place? Because that is how it's looking. In my eyesight and others outside here, other UNC supporters outside here, it seems as though you are actually working against your own party. I want to say it seems as though you don't care if the mighty Morphin Ghanaian Coal Pot Bicycle PNM wins in 2030. Another post I made this morning, I said when the young generation called on the Prime Minister to make a statement about Kaya's charges, Kamla responded by speaking about the evil amongst us and morals. I posted about that on TikTok and Facebook yesterday. How dare you imply that we are evil because we are calling for justice? Madam Prime Minister, whom exactly who you were speaking about if you were not talking about us and the young protesters? That's what I want to know. I said when the young generation called on the Prime Minister to make a statement about Kaya's charges, Kamla responded by speaking about the evil amongst us and morals, while choosing to stand in solidarity with the TTPS, the extrajudicial killing TTPS. The political fanatics also chose to politicize the protest, even though many of us do not support the PNM and are also seeking justice for Joshua and Kaya. Now, I don't know if the young lady voted for UNC. I don't know if she voted for PNM. Certain things that she said might sound a little PNM. But at the end of the day, she also said something that a PNM patriot from the older generation, my generation, and up will never say. She said, Madam Prime Minister, you have potential. You have potential, but we are not hearing from you. And she was right for saying that. And when we did hear from you, it's because you're buffing us like how Rowley buffed us for 9.5 years. You really think that is going to help us win the election in 2030, Madam Prime Minister? No, it's not. I want to say now the deception goes even deeper because Kamla's online activists are implying that her statements were never directed to those of us who are concerned about this case and the ridiculous charges being laid against Kaya. So whom exactly was she speaking to or speaking about, my dear online activists? Eh? Who exactly was she referring to? Please tell us. Because it doesn't make any sense. The protester, the young woman, as I said before, that younger generation isn't like my generation and up and higher up. I'm in my 40s. My generation and up are extremely loyal to their political parties. Not me. And a lot of us aren't, but many are. Extremely loyal to their parties. Whether it's the mighty Morphin Ghanaian PNM or the Dalpan UNC. Right? They're extremely loyal to their parties. You see, the younger generation, all they want is good governance. They might vote for the party and whatever, you know, but they're not fanatics. They're not fanatics. I've seen it. They have their problems. They are the ones being destroyed by gang culture. That's a whole different discussion. But But when it pertains to politics, they are not political fanatics like the older generation. They will have the few that are being groomed by their elders. But the vast majority, all they want is good governance and accountability and transparency. That's the reality. I want to say the Bible truly says that the arms of flesh shall fail you. Kamla is failing us right about now. You're betraying us. The same people that voted for you. It's evil what is taking place right now. We the people voted for change. We voted for you, and now all you're doing is telling us to shut up, just like Rowley did for 9.5 years. That's what you're doing, Madam Prime Minister, is evil. The Trinidad Express recently asked the public for their views on the police use of force policy. This question has sparked a deep debate among citizens. Many people, the police lovers, I will add, that's not what Express said, but I will add that it's the police lovers. Many people feel that strong force is necessary to protect officers and stop violent crime. Strong force. The law doesn't say that, you know. The law says that they need to follow protocol, but the fanatics and the police lovers don't mind extrajudicial killings or the emptying of the clip even after someone has surrendered. However, others worry about the rising number of police-involved shootings, including myself, pointing to tragic cases like the death of Joshua Samaru and the injury of Kaya Seeley. This has led to strong calls from the public and groups like the Police Complaints Authority for better tracking tools such as mandatory body cameras to make sure officers are held accountable. And also, what is the sense of having a Police Complaints Authority if it isn't mandated by the law that before a crime scene can be cleaned up by the police, when there's a police-involved shooting, the PCA, whether it's the head or the officials, should be mandated that they have to be present there to be able to observe, to be able to collect evidence as well, right? Take photos of the evidence as well. Be given information from the police officers as well. Otherwise, it's a spitting top in mud because when they all they have to depend on is the evidence provided by the TTPS. It has already been manipulated. Evidence will be missing because the TTPS is famous for covering up these crimes. My response, it's called excessive use of force and extrajudicial killings. Police officers are supposed to abide by the same laws which they enforce upon the mass population, yet they don't. Not even with the most basic things. They use obscene language in public. They park illegally to go and conduct personal errands. And yet they love to issue tickets upon tickets, $1,000 tickets. Guevara, Roger, and Gaspard should resign immediately. Not just Guevara. Roger Alexander and Gaspard should resign as well. If Prime Minister Kamla continues to betray the citizens of TNT who elected her to govern our nation, then she should resign as well and allow some other genuine member of the UNC to take her place, because I'm telling you, the individuals that she chose to bring on board have hijacked the UNC and are destroying it. This inner circle isn't UNC people. These are people that were never even members of the UNC all the years, and they're destroying the political party. The political party that was usually for the people is now being destroyed. We didn't vote out one tyrant, Rowley, to endure another 5 years of even more abuse, arrogance, insults, and deceit.
Weather report for Wednesday, 27th May 2026, Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago will experience mainly hot, hazy, and breezy conditions with a peak day temperature of 32 degrees Celsius and an overnight low of 24 degrees Celsius. The Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service notes a significant concentration of Saharan dust in the air. Anyone sensitive to air quality changes should take necessary health precautions. Brisk eastern to east-southeastern winds will blow at 10 to 45 kilometers per hour. Winds can become extra gusty near any brief showers. Humidity levels will stay high, ranging between 65% to 90%. It will feel much hotter than the actual temperature, with a real feel heat index peaking at 35 degrees Celsius. Wave action is expected to be moderate in open waters. Expect waves to reach 2.0 meters to 2.5 meters in open water. Waves will sit around 1.0 meters to 1.5 meters in sheltered coastal areas. Spring tides are currently in effect, so watch out for occasionally choppy waters.
Regional news now. Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashni Singh, says Guyana is entering what could become its finest hour as the country marks its 60th independence anniversary, an unprecedented economic growth and transformation. In a message reflecting on Guyana's economic journey since independence in 1966, Singh said the country has evolved from a small, commodity-dependent economy into one of the world's fastest-growing nations. I always say at an exponential rate, driven by discipline, fiscal management, economic reform, and strategic development policies. Now, there's a leader that you can actually admire, Irfan Ali. He's not perfect at all. But the vast majority of times when I read anything about that man, President Irfan Ali, it's good news. And the thing about it is, let's just even look at the case. It had a very serious case that took place with a killing. And so, even it looked as though the police, not the TTPS, but the police in Guyana were trying to cover up a case sometime last year. And Irfan Ali didn't defend his police officers. Instead, he came out and said that there's need for accountability and transparency. That's what a true leader does. That's what a real leader does. Unlike this woman, I don't know who this woman is because this is not Kamla Persad-Bissessar. I don't know who has taken over her body. But this is not the Kamla Persad-Bissessar of the past. I want the UNC fanatics outside here to listen to this next story. And if any, because I know at times it have activists, known activists who watch at my videos, YouTube videos or Facebook videos. You will never share it because you will never want a competitor, a small competitor like me, to grow. You'll never share it. But I want you to listen to it. And I want you to go on the Jamaica Gleaner page and show your Prime Minister this report. A businessman who was accused of engaging police in a shootout in Tivoli Gardens in Kingston, Jamaica in 2023 was freed in the gun court on Tuesday after a gun court judge upheld a no-case submission made by his attorneys. 37-year-old Neil Anderson was acquitted of charges of shooting with intent and possession of a prohibited weapon following a ruling by Justice Leighton Pusey. The allegations stemmed from an incident on November 11th, 2023, when police said Anderson and several other men exchanged gunfire with cops after a high-speed chase into the West Kingston community. During the trial, 3 police officers testified that at about 5:30 p.m., they pursued a Toyota Hiace bus into Tivoli Gardens. The officers alleged that Anderson and 7 other men exited the vehicle and opened fire at the police. You know, like how Trinidad loves to use that copy and paste. We feared for our lives and we returned the fire. When we see video footage, we know something else happened. The court heard that a gun battle followed, and after the shooting subsided, Anderson was found on the ground, suffering from gunshot wounds to the head. He was taken to the Kingston Public Hospital, where he was treated before being charged. Thankfully, he survived. The court also heard testimony that the Hiace bus carried different license plate numbers on the front and rear of the vehicle. However, the court heard that apart from spent casings linked to the police, no other spent shells were found at the scene. I wonder if the TTPS found any spent shells from this so-called gun that they found in Joshua Samaru's car. I wonder if they found any spent shells in that area. Because if she was firing shots at you all, then it's supposed to have spent shells, right? You have any spent shells? Thus far, Gary Griffith said that he has information that they never fingerprinted her, right? Never fingerprinted her, never tested for gunshot residue, but they're trying to claim that she fired at them. And as I said before, what about the spent shells now? What about the spent shells now? However, the court, so evidence also given that although the alleged shooting occurred in an open field, neither the police service nor the Hiace bus sustained any gunshot damage. You understand what's going on there, people? It was all staged. It was all a lie. It was all fabricated, just like what is taking place with this Joshua Samaru case. They're coming up with a whole story that no one can believe because the video footage tells us otherwise. Under cross-examination, the officers admitted that they were unable to identify any of the alleged gunmen said to have been traveling with the Anderson. You see what that's showing here? it was all fabricated. The court also heard that no firearm was recovered. Well, in this case here in Trinidad, they found a firearm after blocking the camera. After blocking the camera, they found a firearm. But yet they never took her fingerprints, never tested for gunshot residue. Defense attorneys Peter Champagny, King's Counsel, and Saeed Bernard argued that the police had no justification for firing at Anderson and contended that excessive force had been used against their client. Anderson maintained his innocence throughout the proceedings after pointing to what they described as major discrepancies in the prosecution's case. The defense attorneys made a no-case submission. Pusey upheld the submission and entered verdicts of acquittal on all counts. Those police officers should have been immediately fired. And of course, I hope that that victim sues the state and wins millions upon millions of dollars. And that is why when this type of injustice takes place, police officers should be held accountable personally, imprisoned as well, right? But also let them have to pay the bill for themselves instead of the state always having to cover the cost for them. I hope the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago goes on Jamaica Gleaner page. They wouldn't listen to my video, but go on Jamaica Gleaner's page and read this news report. The Barbados Fire Service is actively seeking private sector partnerships to expand its fire safety education programs in schools across the island. This call for business support comes as hot, dry climate conditions drive a major surge in grass fires, putting intense pressure on the department's trucks and staff. To keep communities safe, fire officials want to teach life-saving habits to children early on. The school program focuses on teaching basic safety to young children, running regular fire drills, and sharing educational videos about fire hazards. Older students can also join the Fire Cadet program to learn leadership and first aid skills. Local businesses can help by sponsoring training tools, donating e-learning equipment, or hosting public safety workshops. Afreximbank is strengthening trade ties between Africa and the Caribbean by expanding its footprint in the Bahamas through strategic infrastructure investments. Key initiatives include financing road improvements with a $100 million credit line and supporting local trade finance through partnerships with the Bahamas Development Bank. That's good news, of course. Finally, some good news in my news report. That and what the report with Barbados.
Lead to the Grand Bahama on Friday for this roadshow. Our Afreximbank team will be on ground. Actually, we arrive in the country tomorrow evening. So we'll have a few meetings on Thursday. So we'll be available as well to engage one-on-one with those who want pre-event meeting. And then the big day will be on Friday. So where we'll meet with the business community and answer questions they will have about the bank. So like I said earlier, what we found out is that Bahamas is strategically positioned with close proximity to the US. It makes it a hub, a potential hub, where goods can actually be assembled, goods can be finished and manufactured and then distributed across. So that is an opportunity that we want to see people take advantage of to leverage on bringing in semi-manufactured goods into the country for finishing and then, of course, distributing all across.
According to the bank's executive, they also hope to help diversify the country's economy as a part of the process.
I know that there's this very big port in one of the family islands that connects different parts of the world. So that's also another opportunity that Bahamas presents, which remains untapped, where we can also turn that around, and create a production hub in Bahamas where goods can be produced and then distributed all across using already existing infrastructure in Bahamas to reach out to those who need them.
International news now. The U.S. Space Force has awarded SpaceX a $2.29 billion contract to build a secure, high-speed space data network. This fixed price agreement covers the space data network backbone to connect military sensors and weapons platforms across the globe with high capacity and low latency. The network will use a mesh of interconnected low Earth orbit satellites to transmit data rapidly, such as passing missile tracking information directly to the defense systems. The contract requires Elon Musk's company to deliver a fully operational prototype of this system by the end of next year, God's willing, 2027. This massive deal comes as SpaceX prepares for a record-breaking initial public offering expected as early as next month. One of Congress' most aggressive Trump critics just lost his seat in Texas. This is also good news. Not because I don't support everything that Trump does. I like a lot of most of his policies are good. I don't like how he's playing games with the Ayatollah terrorists in Iran. And it's going to just end up affecting Israel most of all, because they're going to continue to fund the proxies, the demonic terrorist proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, and Houthis. That is what the Ayatollah will do. Representative Al Green, not the Al Green gospel singer, the Democrat who repeatedly pushed to impeach President Trump, a very tribal leftist Democrat, was defeated in a heated primary race against fellow Texas Representative Christian Menifee. Green built a national profile during Trump's first term by relentlessly criticizing the president and repeatedly interrupting his State of the Union speeches. Now, after years in office, one of Trump's loudest congressional opponents is out. Good riddance. Good riddance.
Bible quote of the day. John 3:3-5. Jesus answered and said to him, Most assuredly, I say to you, unless one is born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God. Nicodemus said to him, How can a man be born when he is old? Can he enter a second time into his mother's womb and be born? Jesus answered, Most assuredly, I say to you, unless one is born of water and the Spirit, he cannot enter the kingdom of God.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's news report. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all. In Jesus' name.